So, first things first, in the last week, who's invited AI? Does anybody want to share a story about how you invited AI?
I did tell you earlier briefly, so I've been pushing upgrading to the Pro, which I was like, you know what, let's just do it. 2 nights ago, I created a one-page, good-looking press release, and I was like, okay, wait, who am I going to send this to? Because this you can hire professionals, right?
Right.
But even professionals don't even guarantee that you can have media coverage.
Yep.
So it's like, okay, where am I going to put my money?
Mm-hmm.
Even though they say I'll guarantee maybe a digital, a TV, or a media coverage. For the past 2 days, that task, I know saved me a lot of time in continuously using ChatGPT. I created the program timeline already for the event. It's like a 6-page document that my event producer is going to be using. This again, there's just so much moving parts.
Right.
And literally, past week, I've been so crazy productive because I just embraced it.
That's awesome. What I love about that is if you think about like content creation as a whole, it's a journey, right? Everything from brainstorming, ideating, drafting, redrafting, editing, copywriting, and then even publishing, right? You invited AI into multiple steps of that process, which I think is fantastic. Thank you for sharing. So for myself, in the past week, I've used AI to write a blog post, and I used AI to make this presentation. I did not have this presentation prepared until we finished our last talk. I had a lot of ideas, but I needed help getting those ideas onto paper. First, I'll talk a little bit about how I used it to write a blog post. On Friday, Sam Altman, who's the owner of OpenAI, made a tweet. He said, not GPT-5, not a search engine, but we've been hard at work on some new stuff we think people will love. Feels like magic to me. This is the man who runs OpenAI. So if he says it's magic, it's got to be good. My brain thinking. And so I wrote down on a piece of paper kind of what are my top 3 top of mind wish lists for OpenAI and ChatGPT because I use it so much. So I wrote some stuff down on a piece of paper. Then I took a photo and I sent it to ChatGPT. I asked to transcribe it. And it gave me continue the conversation. ChatGPT recently had this ability called memory, where it'll kind of start remembering things from different conversations you had. And I thought it would be great to be like at a conversation, same way you can add a custom GPT. Faster performance. I always love things just to be faster and more instantaneous, more realistic writing, so just better quality, instant image generation. Right now, if you ask ChatGPT to create an image, it takes a while. There's already tools out there that will generate images as fast as you type. So that would be a cool thing for ChatGPT. And then more, I wrote here, it's like more ChatGPT options for team options. This is just my brain thinking. What I really meant is I wanted more customizability in custom GPTs that you can build. So from that, it gave me a first draft. I didn't really like it. And so I turned on the app, ChatGPT voice recorder, and I read the first outline it gave me. And as I was reading, I spoke out loud what I liked, what I didn't like. I wanted to change the title. I wanted to be a little bit more straightforward and less hype. I wanted to add a TLDR at the top. I wanted to merge possible things. Let's change examples. And I just spoke, and it transcribed this as I spoke. And then I asked it to do an SEO keyword search and replace the keywords in the article with SEO keywords. It didn't do a great job on this. And I was like, this is fine. And then I exported it into a text document that I then took, downloaded, edited, and then I put it on my Medium post, basically copy and pasted. Now, the beauty of this is when I first started writing Medium articles, it would take me 3 or 4 weeks to write an article. And I did this in the span of while my kids took a nap, which is the craziest thing about this. Is it the best article I've ever written? No, but it's something to keep the conversation going and keep putting stuff out there that is relevant and would be helpful for people. Now, the big question is, what did OpenAI announce on Monday? They announced GPT-4o. This is their language. O is for Omni, because they're saying it can reason across audio, vision, and text in real time. What does that mean? Well, let's see.
Hey, ChatGPT.
Hello there. How's it going?
It's going really well. Today, I'd really like your help solving a math problem.
I'm all ears. What math problem can I help you tackle today?
So I'm going to write down a linear equation on a sheet of paper and I'll show you. And then I'd love your help working me through it. But importantly, don't tell me the solution, just help give me hints along the way.
Got it. Okay, I see it.
No, I didn't show you yet. Just give me help along the way. 1 second.
Whoops, I got too excited. I'm ready when you are.
So, ChatGPT, what equation did I write down there?
Ah, I see it now. You wrote down 3x plus 1 equals 4.
Yep,
Let's work-
exactly. So what's the first step I should take to try to solve this?
The first step is to get all the terms with x on one side and the constants on the other side.
For their press or announcement on Monday, they go on to do a lot more demos. And this just shows there's a lot of like nuanced things here to note is that how fast it responds when he talks. That is incredibly fast. This is all just real time 1x speed, right? How you can interrupt it and it understands when you're interrupting it. She started talking. When he corrected her, he said, I haven't shown you anything yet. She was aware enough to be able to say, oops, sorry, I got ahead of myself. I got too excited. These are all very nuanced things that older traditional systems just could not do. So this is a huge leap forward in just the interactivity and latency that is being presented here. The other great thing that they announced is that GPT-4o will be free. So previously they had, I know you're like, I just upgraded to Pro. So here, the 4o model is, they're saying it's better. They're saying it's half the cost and it's twice the speed. Previously, the free option 3.5, it was good. 4 was better. 4o is even better and it's now free. The GPT store is now free. So any custom GPT that's been built, you can now use for free. You don't need a pro account. I think you need a pro account to create them, but you don't need a pro account to use them. You can have vision. So what he was showing, having that vision of like either taking a photo or recording a video in real time, that'll be free. You can browse the internet now. Before the free version couldn't go out onto the internet. You can have the memory where it's going to remember conversations in between conversations and you can control what it remembers or not. And you can upload data. And this is all for free. I'm a big proponent of this because I think democratizing access to better models helps everyone. Where that $20 barrier is a big detractor for a lot of people and can exclude people from better models. Access is a big thing going forward. Yeah.
The internet, like it's a search engine. Is that like a search engine or
To a certain degree, yes. You can
read the URL, give him a URL and then read whatever's on that.
Yeah. It's in my experience, it's like 50-50 it's gonna work to what you hope to do. And you kind of have to tweak and be very specific, but it can do that. And it will be like if you send in like a New York Times article, it probably won't read it just because of like New York Times doesn't want it to be read by AI. So there's those things like that. But you can always copy and paste that article and just put it in. Right. No, I agree. I'm a big proponent of laziness. Like, and in my experience, some of the most talented developers I've ever worked with, I was an AI product manager, are the laziest because they will work their asses off to make something so easy for themselves. And I'm like, yep, this is why I work so well with them. So that's 4o. I used it in making this presentation, and it's pretty good. It's fast. The quality that it gave me was really good. And so for this presentation, the first thing I did was go on a walk. I took my dog on a walk, and I used this app called Fodder. It's actually a meeting transcription service, but they have an iOS app where you can just hit a record button, and it'll just start transcribing your self-meeting. So I went on a walk, and I talked to it, and then I took the transcription from last week's talk. I use this tool called Riverside FM, where I'm broadcasting right now. Let me see if anyone's logged on. And here it actually, I really like this tool. It was my first time using it. It created a bunch of short clips for me. It created my full video for me. And here it has a transcript ready for me. So I have my walk transcript, my talk transcript. I fed them both into ChatGPT and said, make me an outline for my next talk, and gave me my first draft. And it was okay. But it was enough for me to go and have another walk. And this time I read that outline, and as I walked, I pretended to give my talk, and I transcribed that. And then I took that second walk transcription and I went to GPT 4.0 on Monday night and I gave it this long prompt. First, I gave it the context. I'm giving a talk about how to make AI work for your business. I talk about the audience. I talk about how here's a transcript of a rough draft. First, read it, understand it. And I noted here how I alter the structure of the talk throughout. Because as I talked, I would contradict myself from what I earlier said. And I said, no, this is what I want to communicate. And then I said, fill in the below high-level agenda with context from the speech, follow the high-level agenda without changing it, and do your best to fill the context. I've added some bullet points, and here was the high-level agenda. It was really two points I want to make. How AI works for your business, or a presentation of different use cases that you can use personally and for your organization, and then how to adopt AI into your business. And then I gave it the transcript. Last week, I learned this thing where you can do these they're kind of like HTML tags, and it helps the AI differentiate between what you're talking about. And what it gave me back is the exact outline. So quick recap from last week, we talked about how to make AI work for you. We talked about what is generative AI. It is an AI that creates new content based on existing patterns, videos, pictures, music, text, code, and more. We talked about how generative AI is proving to be a general purpose technology like internet, and its rapid adoption and high impact is already being seen. We talked about how to select different tools that align with specific needs. We talked about ethics in AI and how it's very important to understand biases and values inherent to any AI system that we use. How to get better with AI. We talked about prompt engineering and other miscellaneous tips. We talked about the importance of being the human in the loop and how you are the curator and shaper of the final content, and to invite AI to the party. So this means invite AI into your everyday, whether you need to write an email or actually plan a birthday party, invite it and just start building that habit with it. Today, we're going to talk about how AI works for businesses. We're going to go through personal use cases, so things you as an employee or just a productive person can do to use AI to be more productive, and organizational use cases. So in relation between you and your team, what are some of the use cases that you can adopt to have a more productive team? And then we're going to talk about how to adopt AI for your business, or an approach for the journey. And after this talk, I want everyone to walk away and be able to identify a personal task that you think you can hand off to AI. And then identify an organizational pain point within your business or organization or team that can be handled by AI. I'm hoping that there's going to be enough inspiration and thinking here that you can walk away and do that. Quick primer on myself for those who are new. My name is Alex. I have over 14 years of experience, and for the past half of my career, I've been using AI to create hardware and software experiences as a product manager. I became really interested in generative AI, and the question for me that really kind of led me down this path to become a thought leader here is, how will my kids use generative AI when they grow up? And here we are. I'm now the founder of Casca AI Agency, where we help small and medium businesses adopt AI. How AI works for businesses. First, we need to talk a little bit about what is work. I give credit to a man named called Dan Chuparkov. I saw a great talk for him where he presented this pyramid. And really, if we were to kind of break down all of our productive tasks and what we do for work, we start with tasks and processes, recognizing issues, sharing information, solving problems, discovering new opportunities, and at the very top, ingenuity. This is kind of what we do day in, day out. And we need to understand, what is AI good at today? It's really good at the bottom three. It's kind of getting there with some problem solving, but large language models and generative AI excels in tasks, processes, issue recognition, and information sharing. So with this kind of lens, this will help us think about what are the problems that we can hand off to AI today. And I say today because a recurring thing that I'm going to say many times, the AI we have today is the dumbest AI we will ever have again. With 4.0 just announced, Google just had an announcement for their own updates. AI is just going to get better and better. And the thing that your organization will need to do is be able to find the data operations and make your business ready for AI today, so you can take advantage whenever something new comes along. Writing. I think we know this one best. This is probably what we use AI most for today. Writing emails, blog posts, personalizing marketing, writing resumes, templates. I love AI for templates. Whether it's a new standard operating procedure document, a product requirements document, a legal document, just the fact that I can get some sort of structure, some sort of boilerplate copy, and send me the right direction is really powerful because it takes the time for that task from here to here. And then I'll do other searches. I'll use Perplexity to be like, what is a good contract? But this is where the human in the loop comes in. And then even things like brand language. You have some language you want to send to a customer. You can have it do a tone check. Is this how our business speaks? Right? And the thing across writing, and we talked about it a little bit, is there's a journey to creating content. Everything from brainstorming all the way to publishing. Think about where you can invite AI on that journey where you feel you need a little bit of extra help, right? Maybe it's in the initial brainstorming. Maybe it's in the proofreading. Maybe it's in the publishing. Transcribing, I talked about how you can take a photo and transcribe it, how to take more personal audio notes and transcribe it. I've been speaking more and more. I'll go on a walk in the morning and actually talk about what I need to do that day, and I'll transcribe it. And now I have a bit of an agenda and I have some deeper thinking about the tasks that I want to accomplish for that day. Learning, you can use AI to learn so much faster. I've mentioned Perplexity a couple of times, but it's a great place for research. You can do really deep dives on knowledge. You can compare different tools and processes, ask it to generate a table on different tools, businesses. You can ask it to create a SWOT analysis. There's just so many things you can do there. But just as a research tool, Perplexity is great. I appreciate it more than ChatGPT because ChatGPT will still kind of hallucinate and give me things. I haven't used 4.0 and seen how it does for research, but Perplexity has been, I think I said it last time, I use Perplexity 50% of the time, Google the other 50% of the time, where I used to use Google 100% of the time. You can create a learning buddy. You can go to ChatGPT and say, you're an expert marketer who excels in simplifying topics to make them approachable and relatable. You use metaphors in your learning and you ask follow-up questions to gauge my understanding of the topic. Help me learn about the topic. Having this sort of reinforcement and a conversation buddy will just reinforce your own learning if you're trying to learn something new. You're trying to learn a new marketing skill. Are you trying to learn code? Having a buddy helps. I think this is just a proven thing. And you can see it as a tutor, you can see it as a buddy. Anything you want to learn, you can learn faster. Creative generation, images, videos, music, audio, any on-the-fly generation with currently acceptable licensing. There's a big debate of what does it mean to license generated art or creation. That will continue to go on, but for today, you can generate things and use them in the public domain. So you can create presentation assets. So it's great for internal use. You can create branding. We're gonna show an example of how we helped my wife create the branding for her business. And you can generate logos, color palettes. You can generate marketing content. So generate mock-ups, mood boards for inspiration. You can create educational videos where you take a photo of yourself, speak for a little bit, and it'll generate a video with your tone of voice and the content that you wanted to educate people on. It's going to be a little bit robotic, but it's getting better. I think in a year's time, there's going to be a few front leaders in this space that will just make really emotive, realistic educational videos. Think back to that demo that we saw from OpenAI and the expressiveness that ChatGPT had. Imagine that expressiveness applied to you in an educational video. It's possible. Fine-tuning image models. So you can create an image model that matches your brand style. This is Nestplace. This is my wife's business. And we used AI to generate this name. We went through hundreds, I think. We used ChatGPT. We used Gemini. I think I used a little bit of Claude. But just iterating through a lot of different names really fast until we found the one that felt right. And then the logo itself is also generated. I think I did 100, 200, 300 generations, a lot. And each time we narrowed and we narrowed. And this was part of a larger image that I got. And we still had to go to a professional retoucher because there's a lot of artifacting to create like the SVG version, a really nice thing that now she can use across all of her businesses. If you're ever interested in organizing your home or office, you can reach out to her. So if you've seen like those Instagram channels that have really great design systems, that's what she's an expert at. She'll make your home or office look beautiful, and then her cleaning crew will help maintain it. Here I'm going to show a quick, I was going to try to do an educational video, but it failed on me. So it didn't render out and it didn't work. So I didn't have time to make another one. But this is going to be showing how you can fine tune an image model. So let's just watch this. There's a lot in like 30 seconds. Basically what it's saying, SDXL is a stable diffusion XL model. It's one of the best image generation models out there. What they're doing is 4 different use cases. One is they trained it in the style of Barbie. So now they can generate any image in the style of Barbie world. They trained one in the style of kind of like this retro futuristic, the floating llamas in space. They trained one in like a Tron futuristic neon space. And then they trained one with Apple Vision Pro. So you can generate anyone with an Apple Vision Pro in their head. This is all done through fine tuning. You can do data analysis. You can take a big dump of data, upload it to ChatGPT. Again, make sure you are using a siloed off version, especially if it's proprietary data. Pay for the more expensive one. That's one thing that, as I mentioned earlier, all that 4.0 stuff is free. Why? Because they kind of want your data. There's always a price to pay, and today the number one way that we're paying is with data. You can talk to your data. One way that really helps people understand what it means to like analyze data is if you could ask your data anything, what would it be? Here's an example of a tool that I use for helping my partners deploy agents. It's called Mind Studio. But here you have this PDF, AI Trends for Marketers. And on the right-hand side is a conversation that this person is having, asking questions about this content. And it will cite it and actually deep link within the PDF what it's citing, what questions you might have. This is great for being able to train new people. We'll talk about that in a second. And then custom GPTs. When you are finding yourself creating very similar prompts over and over, where you have similar roles, goals, or tasks, or you're working with similar data sources, you should consider making your own GPT. You can create your own custom GPT. If you have Office 365, create your own Copilot, and Gemini from Google just announced you can create your own gems. Really, this is kind of like taking a persona and using it, making it reusable. You define it with a role, a goal, context, and expected output. Really, this is what we talked about last week, is how to better engage with AI. You could just make this a reusable person. So you can create a writer, a persona, a learning buddy, a data analyst. I have created my own writer. I've created an Ask Product Manager persona that I use quite often. A learning buddy, when I was first learning about AI, I created an AI learning buddy that would help me just boil down topics that I can understand them. And a data analyst. One of the first partners that I worked with in establishing my business was with an e-commerce consulting group, where they help get your Shopify business perform better. One of the things they do are A/B tests. So basically, 2 different versions of a website are served, and the better performing version is the winner, right? The CEO said, I have 7 years worth of data in a Google Sheet with all of the A/B tests we've ever run. And I said, what if you could ask this sheet anything? What would you do? And so we created a custom GPT for it, where we gave it a role, we gave it a tone, we gave it guidelines. Always think things through, always reference your knowledge. These are very kind of important things to note. We explained what the data was. I've redacted much of it, but doing everything from the high level definition of what this sheet is down to individual column definitions of what is in there, to defining things like what is good performance, right? If we were all to define good performance, everyone here would have a different definition. So in order to make sure that the AI doesn't make up a different definition for us, we define it for them, for it. And then output, just kind of some rules on how to best output things. And the most important thing here is always ask 3 follow-up questions. So he would ask a question, it would answer it, and then ask 3 follow-up questions. And on the first day, and jargon. So if there's any jargon in the thing, this is all context, right? And on the first day that he used it, he messaged me and said, I just spent 45 minutes talking to my spreadsheet. And I was like, wow, that's a long time. And he just kept the conversation going. He said it was asking really good questions, questions that he hadn't thought of before that made sense. And he uses this on almost a daily basis now, where if he's working with a new client, he can go back to, oh, they're thinking about doing a similar A/B test. What's the historical performance on this? And just getting that answer right away and not having to sift through a giant 7-year-old spreadsheet. These are just little ways that you can become more productive. Another way is in writing. So my wife has a great Instagram channel. It's full of helpful content on how to build better systems, how to clean better. But she uses this Instagram expert to help tailor her communications for the Instagram audience. There's an expected different tone. I've made my own resume writer. I've made my own say it right writer. And now that everyone has access, go ahead.
GPT.
Yes.
This, I thought originally I'm just creating like templates within ChatGPT, but this looks like apps.
They're kind of like apps.
Okay.
Anything you create, any custom GPT, like you're saying template, you can publish it so anyone else can use it. Yes, exactly. So this, like if my partner wanted to publish this, he could, but he kept it private because it's for him, right? And then there are ones like these ones that you can publish and other people can use.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right. And so the trick here is that really creating it in a way that will be helpful, I would say, especially if you want to publish it to the public domain. If you just have like my two here just have custom instructions. There's no kind of like really specific knowledge base, but I did give it a very specific style of writing. So for like the writer, I adopted the prep framework where you start with the point, the reason for the point, the explanation for the point, and then repeating the point at the end. And that type of framework is baked into that writer. So that's how I like to write. And that's how I want my communications to come across. And then there's general AI tools. So there's meeting note takers. I use green.com. So transcribing your meetings is really powerful, and these are getting really good. I've almost stopped taking notes. I used to take, I pride myself on taking really good notes. And I'm stopping because I just want to be a part of the conversation. I've been relying more and more on Grain to do my notes, my summary, my next steps. Is it going to miss some things? Yeah, but it's 90% accurate. And that is normally good enough for me to be able to let go of the wheel a little bit in terms of taking notes. Calendar management. I use reclaim.ai. Basically, it will reconfigure your daily calendar and all your invites. If two things start overlapping, it'll move your lunch around. It'll do all this stuff just on your behalf, so you don't have to worry about it. And it gives you great scheduling links. Visualizations. Napkin.ai is a new one that I found literally last week. I think they're just starting, but I've been looking for a tool where I can give it a prompt and it'll create like a visualization, like a data visualization, like a flow. There's one that I'll show later that I used to generate. It's still early days for them, but I think they're heading in the right direction. Customer journeys. So this is more for like product managers and product teams, but theydo.com. This was one of those tools where I gave it a prompt of a customer journey and it really knocked it out of the park in putting it into their tool. And I was very impressed with how well it took my prompt and mapped it to their tool. User research. Run studies where participants can speak instead of filling out a survey. Ask Humans. Andy here is the CRO of Ask Humans. So this is a really powerful tool that I've been using more and more. And actually the feedback survey that I'll be asking y'all to fill out will be run by Ask Humans. So if you have any questions about that, you can reach out to Andy. So we talked about how to make your personal self more productive. Now let's take a look about how AI can work for a business in the sense of your organization. And first I want to break it down kind of by audience. I'm going to introduce this company called Toodles. We make gizmos and gadgets. And first we're going to talk about it in the sense of an internal team. So a sales team, fleet, or HR. That's kind of what I mean by internal team. In this grand scheme, there's a larger company. We're going to have Toodles. And then outside of there, we're going to have partners and customers. Partners can be Acme Co. Customers can be new dads, right? That's the profile that we're at. And I like to have fun, so I created a little brand. This is just, I like to do random stuff like this because it keeps me feeling creative and it's fun and it's fast. This took like 2 generations to get, and I was like, I like it. So if we look at this internal team first, we can think about creating assistants for that specified team. If we have a sales team, we can create a sales assistant or a companion who has access to sales knowledge with low latency responses. So you can ask it, what is our ideal customer profile? Who are we going after? What makes a qualified lead? To what's our sales operation process here? Should I be updating this in Salesforce? You can document all of this, connect it to a bot, and anybody can ask a question of it. You can automate things like qualifying leads. If you have a form on your website and there's a field for a URL, you can automate it so when that form's submitted and that URL field is submitted as well, have a bot scrape their URL, summarize their business, apply your selling points to that summary, and get an email ready for a salesperson to review. That type of data processing could take 30 minutes, 40 minutes for someone to do. Now it's just done automatically, and the salesperson just has to double check, is this all making sense? They have to be the human in the loop. You should never just send that email. Never do that. Be the human in the loop. Do your due diligence. But this saves you so much time. When we think about the entire company, one of the things that our business really creates for a lot of our partners is what I call knowledge keepers. They are the ones with knowledge and unlimited patience. So you can ask them the same thing over and over and over. And I call these ask bots, project bots, document companions. So if you're ask bots, I normally frame them. If you think about a function within your business, we're going to use fleets in a second. So Toodles makes gizmos and gadgets, and we have a fleet of delivery drivers. So we have drivers, we have dispatchers, we have a whole team with a lot of information going around. Create an ask fleet bot where anyone can ask any question about your standard operation procedures. So how do I get my gas reimbursed? We talked about this a little bit last time. And then trainers. You can create trainers that can simulate scenarios for new employees to be challenged with and get feedback on how to get better. So you have a new salesperson. What are your sales propositions? What are your points to believe? How do you handle objections? You can create a bot that's a customer, and that bot can give you that salesperson questions and then give them feedback on the answer. This is another way that you can use AI within your organization to make you more productive and have your team be more effective. So here's an example of this Ask Fleet. I deployed this bot within a Slack channel. So the Slack channel's hashtag Ask Fleet. I go in here and I say, at Ask Fleet, how do we do fuel management? And it goes and it checks all the documentation, all the standard operating procedures, and it gives me back an answer here. According to Toodles Fleet Operation Handbook, the key aspects of fuel management are monitor fuel consumption, implement fuel saving strategies, ensure compliance and tax reporting requirements. And at the bottom here, it gets cut off, but there's a link to the document itself. And here I asked another question, like, how do I deal with an unhappy customer? This isn't in my documentation, but I gave it brand values for Toodles, and it'll give them just some thought starters of what good customer service could be in such a scenario. So it can recite exact information or generate new content for some ambiguous ones. But if it's too ambiguous, it's going to say, I don't have that knowledge. It's not my knowledge base, and you should talk to the human in the loop. So with a channel like this, any driver, any dispatch are all here, right? Because it's a Slack channel, and they can all communicate here. And if an answer is bad, they can call a subject matter expert to come in. But the beauty of this is that subject matter expert is no longer being peppered by questions all day long from multiple drivers, and drivers are getting answers instantaneously. They're not waiting for this person to finish whatever they're doing, redirect their attention to them, and then answer the question. Now let's look at our partners and our customers. We can create what I call concierges. So they're a knowledgeable companion with a motivation to sell and the ability to match the vibe. What I mean by this is you can deploy a chatbot on your site. You can deploy a voice bot that calls people, and it will match your customer's language. You can define it to match your customer's language. Understanding how your customers speak is pivotal for any sales and marketing. And these bots know everything about your company. They should be able to answer any question that they have and lead people down a sales funnel so that eventually they can make a final recommendation for the product that you're selling, or provide support for existing customers, give them the support that they need to troubleshoot immediately. And if they can't, then hand off to a human, right? You still need a human in the loop overseeing both of these operations. If something goes wrong, you need to resolve it for your customer fast. But there's already been enough studies showing that a lot of support related things can be done in 70% of cases can be resolved by AI, right? Customers happier, and your actual customer support team is now focusing on the issues that need their attention. Now, how to adopt AI in your business. This is really going to go through these things. It's understanding, is your organization ready for AI? What's the AI strategy? How are you going to deploy an AI policy? How are you going to make decisions? What are the data operations? How are you going to build it? And how are you going to empower your employees throughout the process? When it comes to organizational readiness, you have to realize adopting AI is a big bet. And big bets are hard. And most digital transformations, there's studies done, 6 out of 8 fail. And there's a great book by John Rossman called Big Bet Leadership. It's really good. He has a really good insights about how to lead your organization through big bets, whatever they are. Because big bets need leadership. You need to have your leaders on board, and they need to be providing clarity to everyone in the organization. What is the problem we're solving? What is the value we're going to get? What's the solution? This clarity needs to be consistent and simple that everyone on your team can understand. You need to ask yourself, how does my organization value productivity? One of the best things of AI today is it makes you more productive. Do you value productivity? Is your main focus sales right now? Maybe it is. Maybe there's some other problem, but this is just one way to say, is AI the big bet we need to be placing right now? Do we value productivity? What is the current state of our data operations? Data is the key to making AI work. And if you have poor data, you're going to have garbage into the AI and garbage out of the AI. Is your data operations ready? Do you have data set up for it? This is not meant to deter you if you have bad data operations. It's good to be aware. Awareness is the first step. What is our sentiment towards AI? AI can seem scary. I'm hoping that with the last talk and this talk, people are understanding a little bit more how AI works, so it's a little bit more approachable. It's not this sentient thing in our heads that we think from sci-fi. It's really just a very elaborate autocomplete. In an AI strategy, there's a lot of things to cover off. Everything from understanding how your company's vision and values will be applied to AI at the very highest of levels. Understanding what pain points today need to be solved. What do you want to accomplish in a month, a quarter, a year for your business outside of AI? And then how do you apply AI where it works best? Same for opportunities. Doing an audit of your data, your tools, your processes. How are things flowing? How does information flow today? Where are you storing it? How are you making decisions? Stakeholder interviews, executive management, individual contributors. What is their day-to-day? What are the problems that they see? And then finally, figuring out what is the value and the ROI that it's going to bring for you. And how are you going to go to market? How are you going to communicate this to people? Even if you're deploying something within your team, you should always have some sort of go-to-market plan. And then the solutions roadmap is, what are the things we're going to build first, second, and then later on. This is just an example mock announcement for Toodles, right? We had Ask Fleet, so we're going to launch it to our team. We've always been a technology-forward company, and technology has helped us deliver gizmos and gadgets. And we're proud to announce Ask Product, Ask Fleet. And this goes on to outline what kind of questions to ask. And at the bottom, we would say, like, here's how you get started today. A simple communication like this can drive adoption, because if you don't have adoption, you're not going to succeed. AI policy. I went to an AI education conference. I was telling you about it earlier today. And it was interesting because they put 3 buckets of schools. There's a school, or districts rather. There's the districts that banned AI. There's districts that didn't do anything and just didn't say anything, pretend like it didn't exist. And then there's the districts that adopted and then use in their curriculum, have teachers using it, their teachers, counselors, administration, and students all using AI. What they found was in the two buckets where they either banned it or didn't say anything, there was a loss of trust between teachers, administration, and students. Because students were using it and teachers were like, I know you're using it. But the students were like, I know you're using it because you're grading my work, but everything says not to use it. So in those schools that adopted AI and were actually forward about it, they found that students were beginning to question things differently. All the ways that we talked about approaching AI will change the way that you approach problems in everyday life. So why not teach that today? Why not be proactive about it? So with an AI policy, what this does is sets guiding principles of how your company is going to adopt AI, describing the context, what your business is in today and why AI is going to help it, data privacy, how to use AI tools within your organization, and then giving them the safe space to do that and encouraging exploration. The same way that I encourage everyone to invite AI into your everyday, you need to encourage your team to explore in a safe, controlled environment. You need to give them the support and tools, but you also have to give them usage expectations. I think I mentioned this a little bit last time, but there's a company that I saw at a conference where the CEO said, everyone has to use some sort of AI tool in the next quarter. And if you don't, you're fired. But he also said, if you want to learn how to use AI, here's all the resources. We have people dedicated to teach you how to use it. And sure enough, there was a group of people who just never turned on any AI tool. They were fired. He wanted to transform his company to be an AI first, AI forward company. And he knew that if there's going to be people that are going to be resistant to that, I don't need that. It sounds really extreme. And I personally am like a bit conflicted, but it makes sense, right? If you give the tools and support and expectations, and people aren't meeting those expectations, it's like the same with any other type of person that is not meeting expectations. The expectation is we use AI. Do you have to be that hardcore? No. Decision-making frameworks. How are you going to make decisions? Again, what is the value of productivity to your organization, and how is that going to influence and how you make decisions going forward? Data operations, we've talked about this quite a bit, but again, just understanding the data tools and processes, understanding your gaps, opportunities, understanding your operations roadmap. This is incredibly important. Data operations in the future are going to define whether you can use AI in your organization or not. A lot of the time that I spend with my partners is really figuring out where is your data, how is it shared, what's the processes, how are we going to connect AI to it? That's the big problem. Me deploying a chatbot, that's the thing I have on automation, really. I have those solutions already. But the data, that's your company's, that's your differentiator, and you have to learn to take advantage of it. And then all the definitions, roles, responsibilities that come along with it. Then you have to build it, right? So building AI is not like building traditional software because it's not deterministic. 2 + 2 = 5, as we saw in my last talk sometime. So you have to start small, build a prototype, release an alpha that is able to work within a very small audience within the company. So you can pressure test it, see what's working, see what's not working, and iterate it and fix it and go into a beta release with a bigger audience, more questions, more use cases, and finally get it ready for general availability to be used amongst your entire organization. This type of iterative process is key because along the way, there's a lot of unknown unknowns that will pop up, either in your data, in the experience you want to provide with the AI, and you have to fail fast and fail forward. And you have to empower employees. You have to give them the education, you have to give them resources, you have to give them the expectations, you have to give them hands-on training if they need it. But most of all, you have to let them know that you value their productivity. And that one of the main reasons why you're adopting AI as an organization is to make your team more productive. Some people are like, oh yeah, we're just gonna get a whole lot more stuff done. But I encourage, if you are a leader, to think about work-life balance for your teams. Can this productivity help my employees get some of their life back in their day-to-day? A big thing that was talked about at the AI for Education is teacher burnout. So having AI tools reduce teacher burnout so that they end their day at 4 o'clock and they're going home to their family instead of going home to grading papers. This is where productivity is most valuable. So big bets fail. They fail because there could be a lack of clarity. Nothing was concise enough. It wasn't simple enough. People didn't understand it. A problem wasn't defined. You just throw a solution at it. A lot of companies, when first AI came out, they're like, here's ChatGPT employees, have fun. We're now an AI company. None of those companies really adopted AI. Most of the people, I guarantee you, 80% are just like, all right, ChatGPT, cool. Until they understand how to use it and how to approach it, they're not going to succeed with it. And that comes with driving adoption. A lack of understanding how the tool works, how it's going to be used, a lack of understanding and expectation, a lack of velocity in building AI solutions. If you become stagnant and try and make decisions and you slow down, that's another way that your big bet can fail. Two key takeaways. I know I've mentioned it a couple of times, but data is the key and your differentiator as a business. It always has been. We haven't viewed it in that way, but your data, your standard operating procedures, how you define productivity in your organization can differentiate you from your competition the same way that your products are differentiated from your competition. And today's AI is the worst it will ever be. So build for the future. When you have data operations in the right place, you can switch AIs in the future. You don't have to just use OpenAI's models. You can use Anthropic's models. There's going to be so many different options. You have to choose what's right for you, but you have to know that everything's going to get better. And so build the foundation today so you can build for the future tomorrow. So today we talked about how AI works for businesses, personal and organizational use cases, how to adopt AI for your business. And I hope that with this knowledge, you can identify a task personally for yourself to hand off to AI and identify a pain point that could potentially be handled by AI. And if you need help with that, I'm here. So what my business really focuses on is three kind of buckets. The first is overall AI adoption. So leading the transformation, creating the AI strategy, creating the AI policy, building the tools, deploying them, monitoring them. Or if you just need a single AI implementation, you have an idea and you just want to do that idea, you don't want to adopt AI, just do that. Or you can have me as a fractional AI product director, where I'm embedded with your team, we build a close relationship, and we continuously drive the AI strategy and roadmap. So with that, thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. You can add me on LinkedIn with this QR code. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And I would love it if you can give me feedback on this presentation. Thank you.